Hi, I'm David. Welcome to another episode of Changing Times. Our guest is John Bullock. He's a pain point coach and identifies whatever kinks you have in your business. So please enjoy and stay safe. Hi, John. How's everything going?
Well, first of all, good morning, David, and thank you for inviting me onto your YouTube channel here. Very much appreciated. Yeah, and I'm well, and I hope you and yours are well too.
No, we're all well and we're doing okay. We're staying good and behaving ourselves.
So by that you mean being socially distanced?
Oh, of course, we don't. I
Yeah.
haven't been out, so it's only me mum and Sarah that go shopping and stuff. So
Mm.
we're doing as we're told.
Hey, very good. So kicking back, taking it easy, maybe
Exactly,
with the beer in hand.
exactly. So for everyone that's watching, can you tell everyone what is your business, what profession, what do you do?
Okay, so I'm John Bullock, known as the Pain Point Coach. And what I do is I help people with their pains, particularly in business. So I normally deal with HR, HR department of a particular company. And what I do is I'm looking at behavioral change. I'm a behavioral change specialist, helping organizations become more cohesive using sport and the joy of movement. So, so I just give a little feel for that because sometimes, what do you actually mean by that? The great thing about sport is that sport is a leveler. And what I do, we use sport as a metaphor, so we take everybody out of the business because that's the greatest thing to do, and we give them these type of sports exercises that will gradually introduce a little bit of stress. And what we're looking to do is to see how people respond to that particular stress, what's breaking the teams down, and then we take the learning experience from the sport that we do back into the work arena, following a discussion and just basic discussion about self-awareness and the way people feel.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. So obviously with the pandemic and lockdown and everything, with businesses having to shut down, and yet the
Mm.
restrictions are starting to be lifted slowly. But how has that affected your business? How has it? Obviously, you rely on businesses being open, going in and identifying the problem. How has that affected you?
Big time. Because you're right, I can't go into business because the business just isn't operating at this moment in time. And David, I have three sorts of strands to the business. So the three strands are the workshops we go in for the corporations and big business that we do for them directly. We have retreats. So we had our next retreat was in Poland. It was meant to be now. I would have been there now. And but unfortunately, it just had to be completely cancelled. We have moved it back, fortunately, to the end of August. And we're hoping that the flights and everything will all be back up and people will be moving again. But I can't guarantee it at this moment in time. But so that's one other thing. Another thing we do is online learning. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've been able to do. It's made me, like a lot of people, we've had to focus on the online learning. So I've done something very interesting with that, David, with regards to the online learning.
Well, that's brilliant. And as you said, obviously everything's gone online now. So
Mm.
have you been able, with the time that you've got now, been able to embellish the online resources that you've got now to give it more like content and basically get the word out there a lot more?
Well, what I do is not so much about physical strength. It's mostly about mental strength. That's what it's to do. And if a sort of a secondary outcome is that you feel a little bit physical, or then that's all the better. But it is about mental strength or your mental health. That's exactly about what I do. And what I've done is I thought it was an innovative idea because people talk about things such as confidence, belief, affirmations, mindfulness, meditation, mindset, uh, being in the flow. and dealing with stress. And I thought to myself, well, people hear about these subjects, but what they don't necessarily know is A, what does it mean? And B, how can it have a positive effect on my life? And I thought to myself, rather than going to this big, wily course and people that go on forever, I've given them a way to be able to introduce themselves to each subject area. And it's done in a circular-like fashion. So we start with building somebody's confidence up initially, because if you've got no one's confidence, then they haven't got the strength to go forward. In other words, how can you have a good mindset or be mindful if your confidence is at an all-time low? So we start with building people's confidence in this small, easy exercises that they're shown how to do, how to develop. And then we go into breathing, how to control your breathing. And it goes, once you're able to control your breathing and breathe correctly, you can then really, because the autonomic system inside, the only way that we've got of controlling our heart rate, our digestive system, is through our breathing. And what we do is we show you a Buteyko technique, how to slow your breathing down, how to slow all the stress areas within your body down. And then we do it in a very, very simple fashion. So it's called 5 easy steps to stress busting 1 to 5. And we take you through these subject areas as an introduction, but it does get you, it gets you in the zone and it gets you started.
So have you found that to be very successful? Because obviously there's a lot of people very anxious and like with a lot of anxiety and worry. Have you found that to be more beneficial now to people, that people need it? People need that assistance to basically be instructed to calm down and realise that it's not all bad. You know, we can make a positive and we can upskill ourselves.
I think upskilling is essentially, especially now, because here you and I, we're talking over this technological wizardry called Zoom, and we're having this conversation. But there's a certain amount of interaction, but we miss a lot, you know, and I can't help but feel, because of the way we communicate now everything's so fast, something's lost in translation, and anxiety for young people in particular is getting worse and worse all the time. So having this ability to be able to control yourself and stop your anxiety is a really great gift. And the gift is beginning to enjoy your life. And I think that really is very, very important. So yes, uptake is good. And we're about to really start marketing the message really solidly, because I've just finished this sort of bundle of putting it together. So I'm just at this cusp of just about to really bring it to market now.
That's brilliant. And obviously we're now that the restrictions are starting to be lifted and obviously different industries are starting to be open again. Are you going to find that you're going to be needed a lot more? Because obviously the business was however way it was before the pandemic, but now it's going to be in a completely different shape to what it was, because there's a lot more restrictions and the way it's going to have to be run is going to be different. So the mindset's going to have to change for the owner and the employees. How do you see that's going to happen in the future?
Well, I think you're right. I think to identify there's big changes. And because no one's really, or hardly anyone has been through, the last one I think was the Spanish flu, wasn't it, about 1918? And there's unfortunately, there's not an awful lot left of us now that can sort of remember that, who've gone through it. And certainly the implications of bringing it back to the workplace. And I think that's the thing. You can see parents now very concerned about bringing their kids back to school, because they're concerned. They've had all these warnings and they're very, very concerned. So I think industry, commerce has a big battle on their hands to give people the confidence to come back and I feel as if they can work with people, but work in a way that they're not fearful. And I think, yeah, I think that's going to be a real hard battle.
So have you learned anything? Have you been able to reflect on yourself and the business that you built? And obviously a lot's changed because you are a very one-to-one person, you're an interactive person, and all this has changed now with the Zoom and stuff. So have you been able to reflect and see what life was and what you want it to be like?
David, that's a great question, that, and I think it does us all good to reflect and self-assess. So yeah, it's something that I'm constantly aware of all the time. I think we need to, because it's the only time that we really grow, because we've sort of become so content with ourselves and we just sit there where we are. We're not inclined to have the motivations or the visions as to where that we want to go. And yeah, I'm like everybody else in life, you know, I've got things that I'd like to do, even though I'm getting older, which each year that passes by, there are still things that I want to do. And I think that's the greatest gift that we can ever give ourselves, you know, as to our peers that we work with, whoever we work with, our children, our family, is the gift to turn around and saying, yeah, you know, I've got this purpose and I want to move forward, and then helping people to find their purpose, but do it in such a way that they're not fearful or full of anxiety. Because I mean, I should have said, David, I've lived like that as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've had a really strong sporting background, and I've got all the reasons in the world to be, you know, sort of full of confidence and everything like that. But the reality of it is we're all human, and we have to learn. We have to find a switch, something that can help us turn that anxiety off.
But that everyone's gone through it, and I think that's the one good thing about all this is everyone's been in the same boat, and we've all had to maybe face different challenges, but we've all had to get through it together and stuff. So have you been concerned at all for the business to where you can carry on? And how are you going to present it now, or are you hoping to be able to just go straight into the workplace, or are you going to adapt more to Zoom?
Again, a great question. I'm hoping that the online side of the business will possibly take off more as a consequence to what's happened. But you know, I think the technology is great. You can do a lot of learning, but I can't help but feel the experiential side. What we do is what we call experiential learning. You learn by doing. You learn by seeing. You learn by doing, and the feel of what you're doing and working with somebody else. That's the whole idea. And I think you get a lot more interaction when you are with people. So there is something lost, there's something diluted in that, from my perspective, of not being with people directly and being able to respond to them directly, whether even it's just through a facial expression, somebody smiling and you respond. I just think it's more engaging when you're there physically with somebody. And so for me, that won't lose its currency. So I'd like to get back to there as soon as I can. But I think there is a place for this, and I think there's an inevitability. I can see points of rather than traveling to people, because what I'd normally do, David, is I'll give you a few examples how it may work. It may be, let's say, a company has a new project, a new service, or a new product, and they're trying to pull the teams together, but somehow it's just not quite coming together. And the HR speak to me and they say, look, John, we've got this problem, new service, new product. We're trying to get the teams engaged, but they're not quite changing what they've done. The habits have remained the same, or we just can't. So I've come in and we'll devise a program, maybe over a few weeks. I'll come in once a week. Over a few weeks, we'll deliver this program, and we'll look at the outcomes that needs to be achieved. And I think you can have those kind of discussions over Zoom. I think that's definitely, so I wouldn't have to go directly in to speak to someone. I could have that here. But for the delivering of the course and for the interactions, I definitely much prefer having the physicality of people local to you, you know.
That's it. So how has it obviously affected everyone, but how have you been yourself with your own mental health and lifestyle? Because the change in everyone's lifestyle has obviously changed dramatically from us being at 100 miles per hour working away to 0 miles per hour and just what do we do? So how have you been in yourself?
Well, what we're really talking about here is resilience. And there's a couple of people I could probably quote here, from Marcus Aurelius and the Meditations to Aristotle and his eudaimonia. But I think, you know, I'm a great believer in their teachings when they said it, which really reflect on Stoicism, and when they talk about only being concerned with the things that you can control in your life. And I think there's a really, even though these things are hundreds and sometimes thousands of years old, there are great teachings there, things that help us live a better life. So for me, it happened. I've just had to accept it and sort of move on, you know, because I've got no control over it.
No. And I think that's the bit that people find hard with, isn't it? That they can't control it.
Well, you're absolutely right. But I think if you can use your energy on the things that you can control. So, for instance, if I were to put it back into my perspective, I realized the retreat had gone. So there was no need me worrying about that. I just had to take action. Okay, we cancel it and move forward. And I focused on the online learning. And anyone knows me, I'm not great when it comes to IT. So it's taken a lot for me to take this on board, learn how the platform works and move forward with it, you know. And and that was an interesting experience for me. And I possibly made a decision based on something that was very simple. What I loved the idea was that you didn't have to print the paper off. You could write on your computer. So whatever work programs I've got on these courses, on your computer or on your laptop or your mobile device, whatever it is you have, you can just press a button and you can actually write on it and take notes. And I thought that's great. And I like that. And I thought to myself, that makes things so much simpler and quicker, which seems to be the way of this world now, doesn't it? People like more simple and quicker ways.
It is, and Wales is a fast place, and it has certainly stopped. So for everyone that's watching, how can they find you? So if they are identifying already that they need John in their lives to come in and help their business and stuff, where can they find you?
Well, I am online, so they can go to www.painpointcoach.co.uk. That's www.painpointcoach.co.uk. And on there, it's got lots of blogs and information. It's got all the courses that are now available, and some information on retreats and workshops.
But no, I really appreciate it, John, for you giving your time and doing this, because I feel everyone needs someone that I identify on an outsider's perspective, especially if they've got a business, but even in personal, I suppose. Would you be able, do you work with people on an individual basis?
I look at the online education to be able to fulfill that. And I think, you know, it's about sometimes I would always sit and listen to someone, you know, but getting the best out of me, I'm probably better in a group environment with a lot of people and doing the courses that way. I feel as if you would get more out of me. So I'm really thinking about the end user and what they would get from me through the experience.
Well, I certainly hope that people that are watching this will get in touch and get involved, because I know from past experiences with yourself, you are a very knowledgeable person, and you want the best out of that person and business.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But no, thank you very much, and we'll catch up soon, and we'll do a follow up, see how you're getting on after the whole lockdown is lifted.
Well, I'd love to, David, and thank you for taking the time to speak to me. That's very much appreciated.
No, I appreciate it, and thank you.